Airbnb just quietly changed its 2025 payment rules, and if you are an investor host, you need to be paying attention because you are about to get the raw end of the deal on several things thanks to these new payment term changes. Now, what if I told you that Airbnb can now hold your payout until the day after checkout, and one failed credit card swipe by a guest could leave your calendar empty and really screw up your whole P&L? I'm going to be breaking down the details and give you some practical tips to protect your cash flow due to these changes. So let's go ahead and get into them. Okay, so what's going on? Airbnb just replaced their 2024 payment terms, specifically Article 2858, with a new version, Article 3944, on June 26, 2025. And for existing accounts, the rules are going to be kicking in on September 8th of 2025. Now, if you're a new sign up, congrats, because you are already bound by them. Now, these are going to be the biggest changes to the payment terms. Under the old rule, everybody got paid 24 hours after check-in. With the new rule, under Section 3.3.3, hosts that have less than 2 complete stays or any policy breach will be paid out after checkout or on day 28 for monthly stays. So for example, say that you get a 3-night weekend booking. It's your first booking that you've ever had on Airbnb and your payout is $900. Under the old schedule, you will see the money on Saturday morning. Now it's going to be arriving on Tuesday. That is 2 days after your cleaners and other expenses are due. Now, the second big change, and one that worries me the most as a host, is that new guests can pay nothing upfront. They can settle closer to check-in, and because Airbnb is now doubling down on buy now and pay later services like Klarna and pay over time, these options are going to be letting guests reserve your place without fully paying upfront. Now, obviously from a guest perspective, that sounds pretty great, but from a host perspective, it's going to be opening the door to calendar manipulation. Because a guest can now book your place and you have mark those off on your calendar, assuming that you're gonna be having a booking secure. But the reality is that guests have only partially paid for their booking, or probably even nothing at all. So as a reservation gets closer and closer, the guest decides to cancel, they have no skin in the game, and now you're left with an empty calendar. Now, here's another change, and that is if the guest fails to pay an installment because they did one of the pay over time features, or any of the installment payment fails, Airbnb will give the guest 72 hours to fix it. Otherwise, the stay auto cancels. So just imagine that your nights have been blocked for weeks, maybe even for one of the biggest weekends of the year for you, and because of buy now, pay later, you are screwed completely. Now, another update to Airbnb's policy is the automatic card update. The old policy stated that Airbnb will update expired cards, but now that's become more like Airbnb may attempt to update. Now, this one next policy change, and is one that really worries me the most as a host, is the funds hold, clawbacks, and split payout caps. Because according to the new policy, Airbnb can now yank money back even after the stay is over. Because under the new language, if a guest files a credit card dispute at any point, it could be days, weeks, or even months later, Airbnb may reverse the entire payout from your account if the bank decides to side with their customer. Now, there's no time limit, and Airbnb gets to decide what happens next. So it's really funny because hosts eat the loss while Airbnb still keeps their fee. Now, the company is not obligated to defend you in the dispute, not required to reimburse you, and it keeps the service fee either ways. So imagine you have a guest that stayed, left happy, never complained about anything, and your booking was for $2,000, $3,000, whatever that amount was, and they went and filed a dispute with the bank sides with them, and then Airbnb pulls thousands of dollars from your future payouts with very little warning. And whether you own one property or a portfolio of properties, one chargeback of a big amount could wipe out weeks of revenue. Now, finally, there is a Canada-specific policy change. I don't own any properties in Canada, and I'm not well-versed in Canadian short-term laws, so I'm not really going to talk about it in this video. But if you are in Canada and you happen to be watching this video, make sure that you read up on these new changes because it's going to affect you. And I'm going to be putting the Airbnb link to the new payment terms in the description box of this video. All right, so what can you guys do to offset some of these risks as a host? Now, the first one is to build a bigger cash buffer. Aim for at least 1 or 2 full turnaround cycles to pay for things like your cleaning, your utilities, mortgage without any payouts. The second one is to stay on top of your calendar, like literally like white on rice, because you need to be flagging every installment booking because if Airbnb cancels any of those installment bookings because the guest either cancel or they fail to pay one of the installments thanks to the new policy, you need to make sure that you can immediately go ahead and have that open for a new booking to come in. Now, finally, make sure that you have a strict cancellation policy and review your current cancellation policy and make changes if needed. Because obviously Airbnb is not on your side as a host with these new changes. So you need to make sure that you can recover some revenue if a last minute failure happens. All right, guys, let me know what you think about the video and what you think about these new policy changes. Share this video with a fellow host. And if you found any value, just go ahead and hit the like button. Now, just so you know, I am a mortgage broker and I am a fellow host as well. I help people finance short-term rental properties in my company, Andy's Mortgage LLC. We are very good at doing short-term rental loans, DSCR loans for acquisition and refinancing. So with that being said, if you are interested or know anybody who's interested in any of these services, I will be putting our information in the description box of this video as well. And I will see you guys soon. Take care.